Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. This one definitely is a roller coaster. It starts off on a very funny and light note but then immediately starts going insane. I do hope that you enjoy this story. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. Anyway, on to the story. My whole life, I've been eating potatoes by microwaving them, then biting into them, eating them hot dog style. This is the easiest, most convenient and intuitive way for me to eat potatoes, sweet potatoes or regular. I think this is how people in Japan eat them, or at least, this is how I was taught by my Japanese parents to eat them. Whenever I go to a grocery store, I always pick out the most easily biteable potatoes, which is generally longer and thinner than most potatoes. So I work in an office of about 30 people. We all typically bring our own lunch and I usually just eat at my desk while doing work. No one has ever commented about how I eat potatoes, but I do eat them quite frequently. Recently, a new person was hired and she clearly had problems with the way that I eat potatoes. A couple of times, she pulled me aside and asked me that I just eat potatoes a more normal way. I asked her what she meant, and she says that I was eating potatoes too suggestively. I was a little shocked because I literally just have my eyes glued to my screen whenever I'm eating and barely pay attention to how I eat. I told her no one else seems to have a problem with the way that I eat potatoes, but she insists that others were just too polite to say anything. I asked a few other coworkers who were all just as confused as me about what she was saying. I figured no one really had a problem with it, but this happened multiple times. She kept coming to me and asking me to tone down the way that I eat, even accusing me of going out of my way to choose sexy potatoes. I've considered bringing them other ways, but this is just the easiest way for me to eat them, and they're honestly delicious like this to me. I asked her to maybe just not watch me eat, but apparently that's not feasible. Unfortunately, she reported me and now I have a meeting with HR next week. This seems really dumb to me, but am I the a-hole for eating sexy potatoes? And then the OP went on to add, "Thank you everyone who gave me tips on how to approach HR. I will update after the meeting." And then they added, "Please stop asking me for videos of eating potatoes. It's creepy and weird, and also would be extremely boring and the least sexy thing you'll ever watch." And then they added the recipe for anyone who's interested. Because I've gotten a ton of comments asking how to microwave a potato, first you scrub it thoroughly with a sponge to remove the dirt, stab the potato with a fork or knife all over, and then put it in the microwave for about 5 minutes. More or less depending on the size of the potato and the power of the microwave. And then you flip and do the same thing. To tell if it's done, poke through the center with a knife or fork. You can generally tell how soft it is by stabbing through it. The texture will be relatively intuitive. Make sure you let the potato cool for about 10 minutes, potentially longer, or it'll be too hot to eat. When you're ready to consume, I usually hold it wrapped around a napkin. I'm sacrilegious, so I eat the skin, but you don't have to. I'll sometimes add butter or regular potatoes, but I normally just sprinkle some salt as I eat it. Sweet potatoes, I just eat as is. Either way, you'll probably need to drink water or some liquid with it. Enjoy. So, I had a couple of meetings with the HR. The first one was on my own yesterday morning alone with the HR woman. According to her, a coworker had reported me for SH and creating a very hostile work environment. I'm not gonna lie, after hearing those accusations, I was honestly really scared. SH is a really serious charge. I was allegedly making lewd gestures while eating, despite repeatedly being asked to stop. I told her exactly what had happened. I was eating potatoes the same way I always had in the last 4 years I've worked in this office. No one else ever had a problem with this until now. The new coworker, let's call her Karen, approached me telling me that I was eating potatoes inappropriately and told me to eat them another way. I had explained to her that this was how I grew up eating them and would not stop. If it bothered her, she could and should look away. I continued eating potatoes this way over the next several weeks. She kept complaining about my potatoes every time I ate them. As I explained my side, I could tell that the HR was getting really annoyed. I don't think she believed that this was all there was. She pressed for more information. Are you sure you didn't do anything to make her believe you were being inappropriate? Are you sure you weren't harassing her, even unintentionally? I told her I never even talked to her unless it was about work, or if she approached me first. HR thanked me for coming in and told me that she'd get back to me. I think she met with Karen after that. Then, later in the day, we had a meeting with the three of us. Karen says that I lied about not doing anything to make her feel uncomfortable. That after the first time she came to me asking me to eat my potatoes differently, I dismissed it as a joke. Which, to be fair, I did because, are you serious? Which I acknowledged because who wouldn't take it as a joke? Then she claimed that after each time she asked me to tone it down, I escalated by choosing increasingly sexy potatoes to eat in front of her, by which point I'm pretty sure HR was trying not to roll her eyes. I responded by telling Karen I literally gave zero thought about her when I bought my potatoes and selected them based on the ease of cooking or eating. She accuses me of making eye contact with her while I was eating, which I think I did every time she watched me because it's really uncomfortable having someone watch me eat. Which I explained, and I told her that I repeatedly asked her to stop watching me eat. She then pointed out that no one else eats potatoes this way, and the only reason that I would do so is to try to be provocative, which I swear to God, HR almost laughed. I just showed her a video of Japanese people eating potatoes with your hands and biting into them. HR woman knows me and knows that I'm not the type to harass someone or deliberately make a hostile work environment. And at the end, she just said something like, "I'm sorry about the misunderstanding. Perhaps it would really be best to look the other way while your coworker is eating." Basically, trying to potentially tell Karen to get her head out of her behind. Then Karen tried to turn it around by claiming that I was making a hostile work environment by telling our other co-workers bad things about her. But literally all I had done was ask others if they were uncomfortable with the way that I eat, and explaining why I had asked them. She tried yet another angle, claiming that the way that I ate them with my hands was a COVID risk, and that I was putting the safety of my office in jeopardy by eating this way. HR then said that if she was so concerned, she was welcome to work from home, as is currently company policy. I work in hardware, so it's harder for me to work from home, but Karen works in support, so it would be really easy for her to work from home. Eventually, Karen had to concede that she had nothing left, so we were all dismissed. Later, I talked to my coworker who had stopped bringing curry because of Karen, let's call him Surya, about the problems that I had with her. He had been unable to eat his regular Indian lunches in the office because of her. We were both extremely annoyed, and honestly, I just felt extremely uncomfortable being in an office where she was constantly judging Asian people's food. So I decided to file a report with HR, as suggested by many of you. I pointed out how she was harassing Asian people for their food choices, and many of her comments toward me was bordering on SH. Surya agreed to bring curry for lunch today, and in solidarity, I bought some too, along with my potatoes. Karen didn't comment at all, but she did give us dirty looks and made a disgusted face a few times. I actually got called into a meeting this afternoon with my boss, who's also one of the founders of the company. He confessed that he didn't really like Karen either, and that she had multiple complaints about her within the first month of her being hired. She's been here just under 2. And that he had hired her as a favor to his wife because she's his wife's cousin and had lost her job due to COVID. I wonder why they chose to let her go. He apologized to me on her behalf and assured me that he would talk to her. I decided to keep my harassment claim with HR and have another meeting tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. Thank you for all your tips and suggestions, and I will keep eating my potatoes for the foreseeable future. So, something that I hadn't mentioned in my original post is that I'm a gay woman, which is known in the office. However, I didn't mention this because it wasn't relevant until now. Karen lost it the other day when Surya bought a lovely tikka masala to share. He's done this before the pandemic and the kitchen is separate from the rest of the office, so you can't really smell anything microwaved unless you're in the kitchen. She said that it was really rude of him to keep bringing curries to the office and that no one confronted him because they were trying to be polite. Most people were really enjoying the food that he bought. He said that in his home country, really well-spiced curries were extremely common. People bring them and microwave them in the office all the time, and that it's among some of the most popular takeout food. He had no reason to believe that it wouldn't be the same here. Karen snapped back that we weren't in India, but Surya said that he's from London. Karen really doesn't have a response to that. Karen confronted me in the parking lot after my HR complaint, claiming that I was trying to spite her with the hard-boiled eggs I had eaten at lunch, even though I'm definitely not the only one who eats them in the office. I guess eggs are now sexy too. She said that my harassment complaint was discriminating against her for being Christian and that I was making her deliberately uncomfortable by throwing my sexuality in her face. She knew that she couldn't say that because she'd be called homophobic. I honestly had no idea she was uncomfortable with gay people, and to be honest, that's not my problem. But she said that me putting my pride sticker on my laptop a few days after she started working here was the start of my escalation. According to her, my behavior was retaliatory to her having Bible verses on her desk. Then, here's the kicker. Apparently, I was using my girlfriend, my relatively high-pitched voice, and my eating to get men in the office to lust after me, implying that Japanese or Asian women try way too hard to be sexually appealing. I would have gone off on her for being homophobic and racist, with stereotypes I honestly had never heard before. But I was too tired and told her that if my existence was bothering her, that's not my problem, and she should just work from home. I also subtly mentioned that maybe this was why she was laid off from her last job. Well, she filed another harassment complaint saying that I was targeting her for religious discrimination. Like, come on. I just want to eat my perfectly innocent food in peace. And somehow it turned into a whole religious and racial war. I told HR what happened, then Karen claimed that I was trying to paint her in a bad light. My boss later talked to me privately and apologized. I think Karen is now working remotely. Thank God. Since I haven't seen her since last week. If she ever brings up anything about my innocuous eating, my sexual orientation, or my race again, I'll definitely file another complaint with HR. But for now, I think I'm content with eating my potatoes and eggs in peace. So guys, what did you think about this? Honestly, towards the end, Karen's behavior genuinely infuriated me. Like, how on earth is it that this woman has not been fired yet? But I genuinely hope that OP isn't subjected to her presence, and that, given that now she's working from home, I hope that the workplace is a better environment. But also, can we take a minute to appreciate the potato recipe? I think I'm gonna give it a shot at some point. I really do like potatoes, they're very satiating. I normally have them in the air fryer, but I'm gonna give this a shot. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you liked it, again, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for more videos from Reddit with updates.